All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's Tuesday, April the 17th, the year 2018. And tonight I want to put out a discussion on the FBI. I'd like to just have an open discussion. I'll share with you my position, and you can put your position in the comments section. But I'm not on Facebook. My wife is on Facebook, and she shared with me a portion of a Facebook video of this gentleman here that you're looking at now. I'm told his name, or at least his alias, his fake name is Ace Baker. He makes a statement, and I played it over and over and over again because I really want it to sink in to what he says here. I'm told he used to be a law enforcement officer. Now, when I see people like this, I immediately think of Chief Mark Kessler. You guys remember Chief Mark Kessler? He pretended to be a birther and made fun of birthers after he was outed as working for the other side. But he acted like he was very upset about the birth certificate. Well, the fact of the matter is, the truth is that that birth certificate is a proven forgery. Many of us have said that for a very long time, and that fact has not changed. Obama put out a forged birth certificate. But rather than jump on the bandwagon that we had a so-called president put out a forged document, people tried to make fun of and mock the individuals who were upset about that. And so I'm still upset that Obama has a forged birth certificate, and I'll never forget Chief Mark Kessler and his betrayal as a birther, who was a so-called birther, and he was a police chief that acted like he was upset about it, but come to find later he was just playing a role. Well, my wife showed me a portion of this video from Ace Baker, who used to be a law enforcement agent, and he makes a statement, and I want you to listen to it. And I'm going to I have to mute my microphone anytime I play something from the computer, so you'll bear with me. We'll go through this slow, and I'll make all my points. And I thank you for your time and letting me make my points. But here's what he's got to say, and I'll play it now.
Chris Hill's an FBI informant. Joseph, you're an FBI informant. David Hoover, Donald Hoover, Ted Davis, you're all informants, all of you. Really? Is that really that bad of a thing? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad of a thing? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad of a thing? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad of a thing? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad of a thing? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Chris Hill.
All right, now I'm going to remember when to mute my microphone and when not to mute it. I played it 5 times, and now I'm going to read it to you. Really? Is that really that bad of a thing? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Now, if you speak out against the blue line or the FBI, I got a text there. If you speak out against the blue line or the FBI, if you try to hold police accountable and say they are wicked in what they're doing across this country, then people like Pete Santilli will call you a terrorist. People like Pete Santilli will call you anti-government. Man, oh man, hold on. I got my phone ringing. I got to answer this. All right, sorry about that. That was a phone call that I had to answer, and so we're going to answer the phone, and we're going to start up again. Where was I? I forgot exactly where I left off, but people like Pete Santilli, if you call the FBI out and say that they are one of the most wicked, if not, the most wicked organization on this planet is probably the Federal Reserve, but the henchman for the New World Order is the Federal Bureau of Investigations. I mean, they are the most, they are just rotten to the core. And anybody that has done their research and knows about their activities across many different political prisoners knows how rotten the FBI is. I'm about to go through some examples to back up my position. But when you call the FBI out and law enforcement out in general, Pete Santilli will call you a domestic terrorist. He will call you anti-American. He'll call you anti-government. Well, if that's what you want to call me, Pete, that's absolutely fine. But I'm telling you, there is a serious problem with the FBI and law enforcement in general across the board in this country. And so we're going to continue to call that out. Here's some examples that I would like to share with you guys to back up the point that I made. Now, you guys remember this little incident and the FBI's role at Waco? It's coming up. We're just a couple of days away from Waco. I'm going to mute my microphone. I hope you remember this song.
Just in case you don't remember, let me jog your memory. In a church they called the Waco Compound, back in April '93.
Hey, do you guys remember that? What do you think about that? What do you think about the FBI's role and the ATF's role in Waco? Now, this says 17 little children, but when I checked, I heard it was over 20. How many people died in Waco? Over 90? Something like that? You don't think the FBI played a role and FBI informants played a role at Waco? And you don't think it's a big deal that, if you're not breaking the law, what do you got to worry about from an FBI informant? Well, let's move on from Waco and let's go to this man here. This man is Jack Ryan, I believe. He is the FBI agent that was assigned to a political prisoner called Leonard Peltier. Now, he's going to tell you that the primary function of the FBI is to handle political dissent. What the FBI does is interfere in the free and fair elections in this country. That's why Schaefer Cox was taken down, because Schaefer Cox would have been a political firestorm across this country. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen to what Jack Ryan has to say.
Really, when I look back, I think I always wanted to be an agent all my life. I studied to be a priest, a Catholic priest, for 4 years, and left the seminary halfway through, had my college degree, and then went into law enforcement. I became a policeman, and I guess maybe always in the back of my mind, I wanted to be an FBI agent, and I saw it as a way to enhance my profession, my career, and I took it very seriously. And lo and behold, I got into the FBI. It was kind of the crowning achievement of my life. I mean, it was a crusade. I was trying to stamp out evil in the world, and here I had a nice brass badge that said I was on the side of good and right. And I believe this, and I approached my work as a crusader. Looking back, though, I realize it kind of gave me the permission to go ahead and do anything to these people, lawbreakers, that I wanted to. They were fair game. I was on the side of right, they were on the side of wrong. And the work was fun when I looked at it in that regard. Well, the more I think back and the more I read about the FBI and its inception, that its prime function always was to handle political dissent. I really think so, more and more.
Okay, did you guys hear that? The prime function of the FBI is to handle political dissent. It's to move the political agenda of the establishment. What do you got to worry about the FBI or FBI informants? Because they are trying to deceive you. They are trying to provocateur, and they're trying to stick anybody who rises up as a grassroots leader like Schaefer Cox or Leonard Peltier, they're going to put them in prison. Let's listen to an FBI informant named Bill Fulton, who went after Schaefer Cox. So to answer your question, Mr. Ace Baker, is that really that bad of a thing? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Well, let's listen to what an FBI informant said to Schaefer Cox that made him want to give up his livelihood, give up his business, and flee the state. But instead of being allowed to flee the state, he was driven to a kangaroo court, and now Schaefer Cox is sentenced to prison for 26 years.
I think I told him I was going to slit his throat and bleed him out at my feet. I believe that was the exact term. I will slit your fucking throat and bleed you out at my feet, you son of a bitch. This was like the second time I'd ever met him.
Oh,
And I was
really?
literally coming over the counter with a knife. I had a knife. I was ready to fucking do it.
Is that right?
All right, that's an FBI informant that's threatening to slit his effing throat and bleed him out at his feet. He's provoking a death threat upon Schaefer Cox and his friend Les Zerbe in order to provoke them to violence so that they can entrap them. The FBI told this man to destroy evidence that would have exonerated Schaefer Cox, and that was never allowed in the trial. Hey, what did you say again? If you're not breaking the law, do you really have anything to worry about, an FBI informant? Let's listen to this situation here, and I'll explain it more after you watch it.
How's it going, Jet?
Good, how are you?
You got the gun for?
Why I got the gun? What you got the gun for?
Because I'm unauthorized.
Alright, well, I'm authorized to
Get down on the ground.
Get on the ground.
Get down on the ground.
You're gonna have to shoot me, man.
All right, that's video of Jeffrey Winehouse being shot by state troopers. You may ask yourself, what the hell does that got to do with the FBI? Did you guys know that 2 FBI agents were there watching that? And we have an eyewitness that said Jeffrey did not have a gun in his hand and he was shot while he was going down. The eyewitness's name is Marty Leach. The FBI even said they didn't see a gun in Jeffrey Winehouse's hands. But yet the state troopers were allowed to send Jeffrey Winehouse to prison for 30 years. And even the FBI didn't have enough corruption in them to even lie about it. But the FBI, if they did the right thing, they would have arrested the state troopers for attempting to kill Jeffrey Winehouse. But the FBI doesn't do anything. They turn their heads. I don't know how they go to sleep at night. The FBI is, like I said before, it is the henchman and the Gestapo for the New World Order. Let me show you this video here.
Dog out for a walk with supporter Danny Riley. As the two come into view, federal agents freeze and blend in to the surroundings. Riley is unarmed and at first unaware, but his sniffing companion knows something is not right. Riley now senses the dog's concern. He spends the next few minutes frozen in place, examining the scene. He stands just yards from the camouflaged marshals, who have come to surveil the area or perhaps prepare a raid. Circling closer and closer to the hidden gunman, Elaine's dog solves the case, and a nuclear superpower's secret is blown. Agents reportedly order Riley to freeze, but he turns and runs for his life. Agents appear to fire at least one round of unknown ordnance. Marshals pour tens of thousands of volts into Riley's body as he is tasered and taken into custody.
All right, that is the arrest and takedown of Daniel Riley. Let me refresh my memory of when Daniel Riley's release date is. Give me just a second. If I go to the home page and go down to Daniel Riley, there he is right there. His release date is 2035. He spent 10 years in prison. He's got to spend till 2035. That's hopefully the DeMaya case will get him out, but that's how long they wanted him to stay in prison. Did you know that the FBI offered Daniel Riley a $3,000 bribe in order to cooperate with the FBI and go into the Browns' house, but he refused? Do you think there were FBI informants at Ed and Elaine Brown's house? Do you think anybody said, well, we don't have anything to worry about FBI informants? Maybe you would like to ask Daniel Riley or Ed Brown or Jason Gerhard or Elaine Brown the question, do you have anything to worry about from FBI informants if you're not breaking the law? Do you think Ed and Elaine Brown were breaking the law? They were staying in their own house, minding their own business. Let me offer you this video here.
What should we come up with a game plan of what happens if they get you and they capture you and they for some reason they all of a sudden won't release you? At what point does it get bloody?
At what point does it get bloody? Should we come up with a game plan? I've got dozens of times that this $300,000 whore, and you say, why do you call him a $300,000 whore? Because on the witness stand at trial, they asked him how much did he expect to be paid by the FBI, and he said, I'll ask $300,000. That's how much he expected to get paid. The bottom line is, he provoked Schaefer Cox as an agent provocateur over and over and over again. This video is of that Hell's Angel. Yes, he wanted to be a Hell's Angel. He ran drugs for Hell's Angel. That's who the FBI hires as informants, by the way. Hell's Angels, drugs runners. This Gerald Olson was hired by the FBI, knowing that he had a lifelong criminal history. They send him into Schaefer's home. He's sitting at his breakfast table, videotaping Schaefer, provoking him with provocative questions. And even after all that, Schaefer never instigated any violence, but they just overlooked all that and threw him in prison for 26 years anyway. So to answer your question, if you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Well, when you got FBI informants threatening to slit your throat and bleed you out at your feet, and when you got FBI informants sitting at your breakfast table provoking you to violence and putting ideas in your head that never would have came up previously, maybe there's something to worry about. Maybe we got a problem with law enforcement in this country. Maybe we got a problem with the FBI. And you still don't believe me? You think I'm making all this up? Let's go to some of the books that I've read. And have you read these books, Mr. Ace Baker? I'm just curious if you've even heard of them. We've got this book called Not Guilty, The Unlawful Prosecution of United States Senator Ted Stevens. Did you know they got a conviction on this man? Did you know that it had to be overturned? Do you know why it was overturned? Because there was an FBI whistleblower that blew the whistle about how bad the FBI was. There was an FBI whistleblower that said the FBI was leaking information to the media to discredit Senator Ted Stevens. The FBI was sending special agents to meet people, child pedophiles in hotel rooms to basically collaborate lies to come against Senator Ted Stevens, to basically build a false case. And then not only that, Senator Ted Stevens mysteriously dies in a plane crash, but I'm sure that has nothing to do with the FBI and the fact that Senator Ted Stevens was the longest running Republican senator that we've ever had. I'm sure the FBI didn't have anything to do with his death, even though they falsely convicted him and it had to be overturned because of a whistleblower. Oh, by the way, when the whistleblower came out, did they lift up the whistleblower and give him a promotion? No, they fired him and they kept all the bad guys in the FBI. There's a book written called The Terror Factory, Inside the FBI's Manufactured War on Terror. Do you think that we got terrorists around every corner? Did you know that if you pay the FBI billions of dollars, that's what Congress does. Congress pays the FBI millions and millions and sometimes billions of dollars, I believe, to find terrorists. Do you know what the FBI is going to do? They're going to find terrorists. They're going to manufacture terrorism. And they're going to set people up to make it look like they're terrorists with agent provocateurs, outright lies, destroying evidence. And so that's why we have something to worry about, Mr. Ace Baker. You also got this book here that was recommended by Jason Patrick. It's called Rise of the Warrior Cop, The Militarization of America's Police Forces, that talks about a transformation of American law enforcement that's downright satanic. Then you also have a book on the Montana Freeman. Maybe we would like to ask Russell Landers, do you have anything to worry about with FBI informants if you're not breaking the law? Unless you think the Montana Freemen were breaking the law. They were the Bundys way before the Bundys. You've also got Blind Injustice about how the Department of Justice manipulates testimonies. And then you also have the Conviction Factory about how our judicial system just convicts people over and over and over again. And then you have a book written by Congressman George Hanson called To Harass Our People that discusses example after example after example of bad players, bad actors in the FBI and the IRS and the Department of Justice. And then you also have the FBI and the bad situation that they did with fantasy forensics in the case of Casey Anthony. I could go on and on and on. This entire page on Year of Jubilee is full of innocent people who were not breaking the law and had something to worry about from FBI and FBI informants. Maybe you'd like to ask David Hinkson what he thinks about the FBI and FBI informants. Or how about Pat Parsons, who's spending 5 years in prison on an FBI entrapment scheme that she was trying to kidnap a judge when nothing could be furthest from the truth. Only if you believe Pat Parsons would really kidnap a judge would you side with the FBI. And if you do side with the FBI, that tells me exactly where your loyalties lie. Maybe you'd like to talk to Sue Holland, who's being set up. Or maybe you'd like to talk to the son of Gordon Cole in 1983 about how U.S. Marshals and FBI went after his father, and he spent the last 35 years in prison. How about our grandmotherly figure here, Lonnie Karen Vernon, who's the wife of Lonnie Vernon? She's going to be spending, when's her release date? 2021. Well, she'll get out in 3 years. She's already spent 6 years in prison, so she'll spend a good 10 years before she gets out. Maybe we'd like to talk to her about FBI informants and what that $300,000 whore and Bill Fulton did to them. Maybe you'd like to talk to Schaefer Cox, who is spending 26 years in prison because of FBI informants. You know, I just got to play that video again. Let's hear it one more time before I shut down.
An FBI informant. Joseph, you're an FBI informant. David Hoover, Donald Hoover, Ted Davis, you're all informants, all of you. Really? Is that really that bad? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant? Really? Is that really that bad? If you're not breaking the law, do you have anything to worry about from an FBI informant?
If you guys haven't figured out how bad the FBI is by now, there's something seriously wrong with your perceptive abilities. There's something seriously wrong.